Okay, so today we're going to do something slightly different. As some people have asked me, and obviously I'm very interested in photography, we're going to have a look at some of the basic settings. We'll just have a little look at my Nikon D3300. So we'll have a look around the camera now. So you got your screen here, your buttons on the side, menu, playthrough, all this, live view. I'll go on to this shortly. Your different modes for the camera, really. I'll put this in focus for you. There you go, you can see that a bit better. So you got manual. This white thing here represents the mode it's on, so you can see it from up here. It's set on manual now. A is auto, S is shutter, P I am not sure. In fact, A is aperture, correct me. I'm not sure what P means. It could be programmable something. We've got the guide mode, which will guide you through the camera, how to use it, auto mode, no flash, and your different portrait modes here, and your effects. So that's your little mode dial. Here you've got off, on and off switch with the little white mark to tell you whether the camera's off or on. So it's on now, so if I focus this in for you, hang on. You can see the camera's on, so the screen will be displayed here, as you can see. Sorry if this all gets in the way, I'll move it out of the way for you. So you can see the screen's on, the lens is in, so I'll come on to that shortly. So that's to adjust your aperture info, that adjusts the user interface on the screen. Your auto exposure lock for auto, and your autofocus lock as well, which I don't bother to use. Delete. I think that's for other. That's for shooting modes. Menu there. That is the microphone port. As you can see here, I've got a Rode VideoMic Pro, and the sound quality of it. So you've got the lens here, which is a Nikon AFP Nikkor 18 to 55mm lens. I've had this camera for about 2 years now, nearly 2 years. I got this for my 17th birthday about 2 years ago, so it still runs really well, and I've really enjoyed using this camera. You've got the Nikon logo there, D3300, the model name, if I get this in focus for you, in case you didn't capture that. That's to open the flash. That you can only do it when the microphone's off, so it'll be no good if the microphone's on. You can adjust your ISO by using this. The lens itself, you can adjust it, so it's locked at the minute. You press this button back here, you can adjust it. 18mm is zoomed out. Scroll a bit further, it'll be zoomed into 55. Let's move this chrome out of the way. It's peeling off for some reason. It's been like that for quite some time. So if I put this back in, do excuse the peeling off chrome. Oh, get back in. Nice camera overall. You got your power supply down there. This is for the tripod. I also have a tripod as well to film in. So that's what this little thing's for. I just put it on the tripod, connect that in, and I'm all set to go for filming or photographing, whatever. This is to adjust your shutter speed, ISO, depending on what setting you have on. So this is like a little adjuster, if that makes sense. And your viewfinder here. And up here for the microphone or whatever you tend to use. Yeah, that's the first look at my Nikon D3300. Right, so we're going to have a look at this camera in a bit more detail now. For some reason, I'm having trouble to focus this camera, so do bear with me. I'm sorry if you can't see it well, but my stupid phone camera is not focusing. So, obviously, as you can see here, we're going to have to... oops, this is not standing really well. Give me a moment. I'm just going to flatten this out a little bit. Okay, I don't know if you can see this well, probably not, but I do apologise. It's going to fall otherwise, isn't it? Right, so, obviously... message comes up saying I need to rotate the lens. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to rotate the lens. As you can see, this is what you put around your neck. It's like a strap to keep the camera on hold, so you don't have a chance of breaking it. So when the lens is out, obviously, like I said before, you can zoom in, zoom out. So you got your right. So I'm going to go through the user interface. So here is your shutter speed. Sorry if it's not in focus, but my phone does not want to focus any further. So I hope you can see this all right. If not, I'll try and pull away, see what this does. Hang on. I'm doing no better, is it? Right. I'll have to leave it as it is. I do apologise. I'll have to leave it as it is. Right. So, like I said, you've got shutter here, aperture, ISO on here, the user interface. So, obviously, I can take a photograph. So, if I was going to adjust it to 2000, bring the ISO down, it's going to take a random photograph. Shoot. If it's going to let me shoot. Hang on. Okay, I just took a photo, quite dark, so I'm just going to readjust it. So you can adjust your shutter settings and all the other settings you need to adjust. So I've taken a sample picture here, as you can see. So if I go back, so obviously you've got your other settings down here. So if I press I, RAW, the image quality. I tend to shoot in RAW because you can edit the image in full detail. I'm aware it may use more space than a JPEG, but I tend to like to use RAW myself, so that's why I just like to leave it at RAW. White balance, you can adjust it to daytime, fluorescent lighting for indoors if you're using the manual settings, incandescent, auto, flash, cloudy, shade, and your own preset. Which, if you have a cool little thing, I don't know what it's called, you can actually use that to match the white balance in real life. But unfortunately, I don't have one, so I can't show you that. So what other settings is there? I hope you can all see that all right. So you got your ISO, so you can adjust it accordingly. I'm going to come on to that, and this thing, I'm going to come on to that shortly. This thing in the middle is your exposure. This tells you your exposure. So if I adjust my shutter speed, for instance, it'll be easier. You can see it goes down, so you can see if I say it to the shutter speed lower, it's going to be overexposed. So, and if I adjust it to the right, bring the shutter speed, make it faster, you can see the exposure goes down. As you can see, it can go to 1/4000. That's how fast it can go. Aperture settings. So if you had it aperture 5, yeah. Well, let's start from the beginning to make things simpler. If you had it at 3.5, let's say, for example, you wanted to get this in focus, the rest of it, the background will be out of focus, it'll be blurred out. And if you had it set to, let's say, aperture of 22, for instance, I thought you could only go as far as 16. If you have that set, you can actually get everything in focus, but there is a massive downside to that. The image is darker and it's not very easy to get a full clear image. So I just tend to leave it at aperture of, I tend to use it at 5, sometimes maybe 3.5, depending what I want for my images. So if I go into live mode, so this is ideally used for filming, so you can see I've got my settings there. ISO 100, aperture 5, shutter speed 200. If I adjust the ISO, it gets brighter, I can overexpose it. The more ISO you have, the more noisy the image is going to look, so grainy and not as good. And you got here, adjusting the shutter speed gets darker, faster motion, and the aperture I can't adjust. Focus mode, you've got auto servo, single servo, continuous servo, and manual focus. Manual focus is when you do it when it does it manually. Autofocus is when it does it automatically. So there's a difference there. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that. You got your compensation, every exposure, metering here, matrix center weighted spot metering, and the area mode. So that was a look at my settings on my Nikon D3300.